Okay, so I've had a few people ask me about my kind of unorthodox method of covering and making templates and stuff and covering on top of glass. So I've got one panel laid out for this 33% hanger 9 edge I'm recovering. Wanted to take you through the basic steps of what I've done. Underneath there's a piece of butcher paper with everything traced out and with my pattern laid out on it. I've already cut my pieces, and as you can see, each one maintains about a ½ inch overlap. I found ½ inch, at least with this Hobby King and Value Hobbies covering that I use most of the time, works best. Anything less than that, you tend to risk pulling seams when you start to shrink covering. So basically, just have my iron right now set at what you normally tack things down on the airframe with. And I like to pull things close, start one seam at a time, start in the middle, and just lightly press it down along each seam. Doesn't take long at all, and at this point you really do not have to be worried about heat whatsoever with this glass method, at least from what I found. I just like to initially tack everything at a low heat. Okay, at this point I'm going to go ahead and, at least on my 21st century iron and this covering, I crank it up to about 300. And really don't give it much time to wait. Just go ahead and start slowly working the seams. Just take your time, make sure it looks good, and you don't have any wrinkles on the seam itself. There may be some wrinkles in between it, but this way pretty much not going to have any wrinkles or any air bubbles underneath your seams. And what this is doing, going ahead and cranking the heat up, is basically sealing the edge down good and tight, just like you would seal the edges along the edges of parts of the airframe as you're laying your covering down. Once I'm done with that, I normally like to run my fingernail up and down the edges. If my fingernail cannot easily pick the seam up, if I really have to work at it, then I know I've got it sealed down good and tight. Now I'm just going to go ahead and trim this to fit for the panel that I know what's going on. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Now I like to go start at the end, whichever piece is underneath of the first piece, and just lightly peel it up. And there you now have a single panel that you can go ahead and lay on top of any piece, or on top of your, in this case, stab of the airframe, to make it look right. Thanks.